everyone, and welcome back to the CLSR. And I'm your host, the counselor. Just want to let you people know you can get a hold of me at TheCounselor That's the counselor at gmail.com. Now, I want to say to all my wonderful listeners out there, let's continue to spread the word like the wise old bird and put your money where your mouth is so we can handle this biz. Take care. Welcome to the CLSR, and I'm your host, the counselor. And today we're going to talk about you, the real you. And I mean that. I think we got to find ourselves. We're just so influenced. We're impacted by all these outside decisions, and it's hard to know what's what anymore. It's like we're being bombarded with messages and media and decisions that we have to make, and often those decisions aren't really our own. We're just doing them because we're on remote. We're just operating in a system and going about our daily grind each day over and over, and some of us are just wondering, where we are. We know what we're doing, we know what we're reaching for. We're trying to accomplish something that we feel is going to make us happy, but do we know ourselves? And that's what we're talking about here today. We've got to find ourselves. We've got to figure it out, because some of you are getting lost. And I can fully understand. The counselor is aware. I can talk to you all day about uh, recommendations and alternatives and solutions, but I think we got to get deeper. I think we got to start looking from within and in our immediate environment and figuring out what's going on with ourselves. And is there a way we can bring ourselves to finding what our true meaning is, what we're really about? Are we making decisions based on what we really believe? Are we following into some pattern that is leading us astray, and we're not really sure anymore? And maybe we're at this point where it's time that we find ourselves. It's 2020 and ain't a damn thing funny. We're on a reset. We've got opportunity to sit back. You've been sitting at home for months. But what were you really doing? Were you pondering what your next move's going to be? And if you were, don't you think it's better if you have some clarity? Well, here we are, trying to find ourselves. To find yourself, first learn about yourself. Finding the real you is an enlightening experience. You become self-sufficient and do things for yourself for once. It's a hard feeling to put into words, but when you don't know who you are, it's hard to ignore. Finding yourself is not easy, but it's worth it. I have to tell you that I believe it begins with waking your conscious self. Create your own life timeline. Write down all of your major goals that you feel you have achieved and want to achieve. And in turn, write down the events in your life that have already happened and that have shaped or affected you. When life brings problems or misfortune, it shapes our belief system. It makes us think differently, but it also makes us us. Things you list are organically you, not a simple reflection of society. This isn't an exercise in wallowing. It's about clarification and identification of issues. These issues might be keeping you from reaching your present potential and letting your true self blossom. Spend a little time clarifying the past in your timeline. A timeline is an incredibly objective method for marking down past occurrences in your life that you consider to be major. You can look at them as formation blocks and as changing experiences along your timeline without imbuing them with too much emotion. As if writing a resume, keep it simple, real, and condensed to the major effects or lessons learned from each past incident. When analyzing negative past experiences, focus on what you learn from them. Everyone has these blips in their timeline, but exaggerating or ignoring them won't help you. Instead, recognize that these experiences shaped you. Think about that. There's a lot of people that are beating themselves up because they've had experiences that they felt were inappropriate. Sometimes they have shaped you, and you need to look at them. But you need to make sure that you distinguish your thoughts from the thoughts of others. For most people, life is pretty easy to go through while on autopilot. We practically get handed a roadmap for how reality works. Go to school, get a job, get married, think this, that, and the other, and boom. Hope you had a good time, and that's all well and good. It gets the job done, certainly, but it doesn't allow room for you. So sit down with yourself, and at the end of the timeline, come up with a few beliefs of yours that aren't based on logic, but are based on what you've been told. We all have them now. What do you actually think? Society has a very covert way of handing us the misfits, condemning the losers, idolizing the beautiful, alienating the strange. But here's a heads up. These describing words have no basis in reality. How do you feel about the world around you? Think about what you believe to be good and bad, not what anyone else has told you. Feel free to think more concretely. Do you actually agree with your parents' political or religious affiliations? Is having a career really the most important thing to you? Do thick black glasses really make you feel cooler? If the answer is no, great. There's absolutely zero problems with not molding yourself to pre-existing norms. Now all you have to do is unlearn and then relearn. Only this time, relearn based on your gut. Start relying on yourself. Confidence and reliance are at the heart of finding yourself. If you don't have a solid sense of self-worth, you'll listen to what others have to say all the time and to be swayed by their insistence on what is appropriate. Learn to believe in yourself and trust your own feelings. Then you'll come up with the structure to base your new sense of self on. Remember, be patient with yourself and confident in your abilities. Everything will come in time. If you have been victimized in the past, confront these issues. They're not going to go away on their own. They might be coloring your approach to daily life, causing you to live up to other people's expectations instead of your own. Start trusting your own judgment and decision-making processes, mistakes and all. We all make mistakes, even a counselor. He makes mistakes. But through mistakes, I find myself, and I want you to find yourself. I want you to grow, learn, and reach your real self. Start taking responsibility for budgeting, household matters, and planning about the future. People who lack a sense of self tend to disregard the details of life with a careful attitude, believing that things will all sort themselves out. But things don't always sort themselves out. Take responsibility. Pulls you back, right? Taking this responsibility is definitely going to pull you back from the precipice and let you be self-reliant and self-determined, no longer carried along by waves of fate. Prepare to begin again with a clean slate. Develop your own moral conduct and practice sticking to it. Start by overcoming bad habits. Stop smoking, overeating, and abusive drinking. These are examples of lapses or habits that will prevent you from functioning at your peak. They also let you off the hook by sidestepping the analysis of why you use these crutches instead of finding better ways to brighten your life. This step may take some major rehabilitation for some individuals, but putting it into the too hard basket won't make it go away. Remember, you can't drive your life forward if you are always gazing through your rear view mirror. I want you to organize your world. You may find that having all your other affairs in order will help you expedite the process to grabbing a firm hold on your identity. So clean your room, do your homework, resolve that fight with that friend. Getting everything else out of the way will clear up the path to me time. We all have excuses for why we're not growing in the direction we want to be growing. It could be money, school, a job, a relationship, you name it. Someone's used it. If you're a busy bee, take strides to clear your schedule so you can sit down and tackle this thing head on. If it's always priority number two, it'll never, ever, and I mean ever, get done. You got to conquer your world. Try your best. Immerse yourself in solitude. Give yourself some time and space to get away from the expectations, the conversations, the noise, the media, and the pressure. Take some time each day to go for a long walk and think. Plant yourself on a park bench and look. Take a long, thoughtful road trip. Whatever you do, move away from anything that distracts you from contemplating your life and where you want it to go. In solitude, you should feel independent and self-sufficient, not lonely, needy, or afraid. Every person needs time alone. Whether they're extroverted or introverted, single, in a relationship, young or old, solitude is time for rejuvenation and self-talk, for utter peace, and for realizing that purposeful loneliness is not a bad place to be, but rather a liberating part of your overall existence. If you are a creative person, you may need that alone time, and this will help stoke your creativity. While it's nice to collaborate with other people sometimes, it's hard to be truly creative when you're always surrounded by other people. Step back and tap into your creativity and seek out a passion. When you believe in something or see beauty in something, you should do it no matter what anyone else thinks. If you have found something that is worthy of your best efforts, sacrifice, and tears, then you have found the most important pursuit of your life. Often that pursuit can lead you to something ultimately fulfilling. The key here is to realize that it doesn't matter what it is. It could be preventing child hunger, or it could be painting. There is no scale when it comes to passion. You either feel it or you don't. None is better than any other. When you find something that zaps you out of bed in the morning, cling onto it. You only bloom from there. And I can't even stress the importance of finding a mentor. I said it, a mentor. Though ultimately soul searching can only be done by you, and it's only you that determines what you need. Having a mentor will be an incredible resource when you hit those unavoidable bumps in the road. Seek out someone you trust who has a definite sense of self. How do they do it? Let them know the process you're starting to undertake. Stress that you know it's your journey, but would love to use their strength as a guide. Take a look at them as objectively as you can. What seems to ground them, making them who they are? How did they find that? How do they stay true to themselves? A support system is key to any self-improvement tactic. Not a lot of people will understand what you're going through and will brush off your broaching the topic as a flash in the pan moodiness. Use the mentor as a sounding board, too, for what you come up against. The outlet will surely come in handy. Sort out your care path. If you're meandering all over the place looking for the right fit, chances are that you're not happy inside. You could be using the job changing as an excuse for not fully realizing your true potential. Find yourself by really taking an interest in what you love to do. If money weren't an issue, what would you spend your days doing? What way can you monetize this activity skill? Spend some time free associating. Think about things you like and don't like. Think beyond those things to other ideas that simply pop into your mind while you're associating. Keep a record of these things. Then come back to the career question and look at the free association. What type of career seems to gel most with the things that excite? or move or really energize you. You'll need to work out a work life balance that lets you pursue your true self more outside of the workplace, even if this means more hours and less income. It is all possible, especially if it isn't in the pursuit of finding and sustaining your true sense of self. You see, the counselor has left you with a lot to think about, and I really want you to think and put yourself first. But I don't want you to work on it alone. I want you to understand that you are on a journey and you're going to find your true sense of self. So we're going to talk about that in my next podcast, how we could go about changing ourselves. So I want you to be like the wise old bird and spread the word, because finding yourself is so important. Take care and stay tuned for Pathways to Finding Yourself, Part 2.